Hello, this is D. Alfred Ostrowski. In this recording, I'm going to be presenting how to fork the Ethereum Mainnet. I'm going to be using the Hardhat environment, and I'm going to be running everything on an EC2 instance so you can duplicate exactly the commands that I'm going to be presenting to you in the next few minutes and get up and running immediately, fork the Ethereum blockchain. I'm going to be testing against my fork copy using the Hardhat command console as opposed to Remix, and I'll put some content later that will address how to do that exactly as well. I'm going to test some balances on the forked Ethereum and token balances, and I'm going to deploy a few smart contracts. So this is a great tool. It's going to save you a lot of time and money in test ETH and testing for your production blockchain applications. So let's get started. I have EC2 instances here that I'm going to launch, and I'm going to just choose Ubuntu, use the default 20.04. I'm going to use a C5 instance as I usually do. I need more horsepower for running the Hardhat, and I have key pair generated PPK that's going to allow me to log into the terminal. I could use shell prompt here, but I like to bring up a couple terminals simultaneous, one to run Hardhat and one to run the command console. So this is coming up and running. I should have my public IP. I don't have to worry about security because I'm not going to be using web-based interface, just doing everything from the command prompt. Bring in my copy of PuTTY here, and here we go. And you can use any client that you want. This is convenient for me, and PuTTY's been around forever and a day, right? So here I defaulted it. I have my first terminal up. I'm going to run my second in the same fashion. Bring my IP PPK, and I'm not using any password protection. I'm going to blow this away when I'm done with it, right? I'm just using it as a test sandbox. And again, the beauty of doing this in this fashion is that I can give it to you and you should be able to run everything without any types of issues, right? So there I have my two terminals up and running. I'm going to do the installs. It's going to happen pretty fast. And I have a slight variation here. I'm going to be installing an Open Zeppelin library, which I don't typically have done with some of the earlier videos. So you might want to pay attention to that. Other than that, everything else is pretty much standard to the Hardhat installation. I do my prerequisite apt-get update, and I'm cut pasting those commands in here, so you don't have to watch me make typos. Here I'm going to pull in a copy of Node and to create the bash script for its installation. And the next command is to do the install of Node.js. There we go. I'm going to install the extra libraries for Ether, and perhaps a few more libraries than I need, but I'm just going to leave that the same. It's kind of my standard install. And I defaulted Node, right? I'm just running it standard. See, here are the libraries for Hardhat. And then following that, I got one more install before I actually do Hardhat, and that is going to be the Open Zeppelin definition, so I can do get balances. So I want to do these small tests and actually prove to myself, and you can prove to yourself that you can take information from Etherscan and validate that against your fork copy environment to have that confidence in knowing that you've actually forked it off. So here I do the open Zeppelin install. Now I'm ready to create my project directory. I'm just going to call mine fork demo and cd to it. Now, the only thing I need to do is run the npx hardhat, right? And I'll be done with my installs. I'm going to default my installation, straight up JavaScript project. And again, everything runs fast on the C5, so I don't really have to pause this too much. Kind of talk through it as we go along. There we go. Create a JavaScript project, yes. Default directory, git ignore, basic libraries. Next up, I'm going to modify my Hardhat config, and then I can start my Hardhat personal blockchain. Beauty of it, I'm going to have my accounts with 10,000 ETH, and I have unlimited ETH to do testing towards my Ethereum production blockchain, and not worry about using the testnet in many cases, because I will have a copy of the production environment that I can test against and get the confidence that I'm doing the right things. So here I have the Hardhat config. I'm going to default, remove the default, and I'm going to bring in a variation. Let me copy that in, and the only change I'm going to make here, and I need to keep an eye on, is my DNS, because I have a brand new DNS. If I shut down and start up my instance, I'm always going to have an additional DNS to be concerned about. So to stay on top of that, or else it won't know what localhost is, right? So let me put that in here, and we can step through this slight modifications to the Hardhat config. So here I do require, pull in the Hardhat toolbox library, and under the exports, under networks and Hardhat, I define localhost, my DNS. My chain ID is default 1337. Be a little more concerned when I start using Remix, because I'm going to have to connect with MetaMask to make that connection, since I'm running it as a remote node. Worry more about that when we address it, but I left that in there. And then for the forking, I define a key value URL for Cloudflare ETH. This is an Ethereum node, which we have free access to from Cloudflare, and it may not be guaranteed forever, but for now this works, and it is freely available. So you can access this to fork off your copy of the Ethereum. You could do this any number of different ways. You can even run your own Ethereum node and fork off of that. And I may produce some content about how to generate your own Ethereum node. It's really not a lot of work to do that. However, it's resource intensive, right? So this is really a convenient way to rely on Cloudflare, and it will allow us to get up and running as soon as possible. And the only other thing in the config is the definition of solidity. So I'm good to go. Let me start up my node, my Hardhat node, if you will, and I'm going to define it with the definition hostname local host, as I will with the console as well. So let me bring that up. I'm going to get my 20 accounts, and I'll be good to go. Okay, so there's my 20 accounts. You should be, if you've worked with Hardhat prior, and if you haven't, you can look at some of my videos where I step you through the basic hello world and introduction to dApp construction with Hardhat, right? So here, let me bring up the console in the second terminal. And I'm also going to define, most importantly, I need to define network localhost, and I'm running it into the project directory. Don't forget to do that. Otherwise, it will try to install Hardhat. If it's trying to install Hardhat again, you forgot to put in the wrong directory, right? So there you go. So that's going to bring it in. And this is actually building a file. So let's do a quick test to make sure that we are in effect running the forked mainnet. Let me pull in Etherscan. So I got that on the tab here. And I can go to the Etherscan and I can pull up an account and I can check the balance of it. Okay. And one of the the challenges in this case is that an account may not always be exactly in real time, right? Because I'm looking at a fork copy. So I may not have an absolute match, but let's look and see if we can find something interesting. So let me just take a random address here, and I'm going to check the balance of that address, right? So I'm just going to post it in here and search on it. And I got a balance of ETH 2.460. So I have my Hardhat console, and I installed Ether. So that's available. I can test that by just typing ethers there, and it gives me the JSON-based definitions that are provided with it. So I can do ethers, and then you want to be in the habit of using await when I'm doing JavaScript promises, because it is asynchronous and it may not respond, or you have some type of race conditions that may occur, and it may not respond appropriately if you don't use that. So make sure that you get in the habit of doing that, especially when you're working on the command line. So I'm going to do a get balance, and I'm going to pull in the contract that I just referenced, or the address rather, I'm sorry. 2460. Okay, get balance here. 2460. There you go. So what did I just do? I was able to fork Ethereum, and I pulled out from Etherscan an address, and I did a search on the address, and I checked the ETH balance, and I was able to validate that in my forked copy, right? So I just demonstrated the fact that I already have the attributes of the Ethereum mainnet at my disposal on my local copy, which is extremely powerful for testing, right? So now the beauty of this is that I can take all my accounts that are provided, the 20 accounts that I see here, and instead of pasting those accounts, I can just use an ethers command and pull them in with the get signers command. And I can do get signers, and I'll pull in my 20 accounts. And you can see here, it pulled in the accounts here. When I'm doing transactions with a smart contract, it's going to take the first account as a default, whether it's Ganache or Hardhat for that matter. And then I can use the get balance command here again. And I could take any number of these addresses and just index them. And I have the power of my created accounts, my test ether that's created free of charge, right? And my production copy of the environment that I can do some extremely powerful and relevant testing for my smart contracts. So there you go. That's the first test. And we're up and running in minutes. So this is, again, a really fantastic tool and technique to use in your arsenal. So now I'm going to go to contracts. I'm going to pull out the lock example that's being provided, and I'm going to pull in two contracts, and I'm going to define them both at the same time, so I don't have to be bouncing back and forth doing this. So I'm going to pull in, just start off with a basic hello world. I'm going to deploy against Ethereum forked mainnet, and I spent more time on this in earlier videos, so you can take a look at that, but just reading and writing a string to the blockchain. So this is a good starting point as usual. And you can take, again, look at the details. And here I'm going to pull in another smart contract. Here I'm going to use OpenZeppelin library, and I am going to have the ability to check ERC20 tokens. So those are Ethereum compatible tokens, and I can use OpenZeppelin libraries to do a lot of quick functionality that's being provided. In this case, just checking the balances of those tokens, and we can check that against Etherscan as well. So we're expanding our repertoire of matching the real world attributes that are provided by Etherscan to our fork copy and learning how to engage with them. So I'm going to do check .solidity, and I'm going to load that in appropriately. Let's take a look at this, right? Just go line by line. There's not much here. I'm doing an import of the ERC20 solidity library that's being provided. I have a contract called check and a function, lowercase check, and I'm going to have two inputs. First is the definition of the token. What kind of token is it? Binance, Polygon, whatever. And then the holder of that token, we're going to find the balance of that and return the uint 256. And that's accomplished by using the balance of function that's being provided by OpenZeppelin. That's pretty much it. So I got two contracts. Let me go back and I'm going to start up my console. And it does some background compilation. I can also force that with the get contract factory. And I need to do that anyway to pull that into my environment. So let me do the get contract factory. I'm going to pull in the signers first, and I'm going to use that to be able to check the balances. Again, here I'm using my created balances against my deployed Spark contracts, and I've created those tokens, right, for free. But I'm testing against the simulated production environment. So this is extremely powerful, right? So I have the signers here, and now I'm going to do pull in that smart contract and support the deployment of that. I'm do get contract factory of hello. And then I can, let's grab the balance of that signer beforehand. I'm just going to assign it to the value of BAL. And that would be my 10,000 ETH, but let me just store it just for the sake of checking. And now I'm going to deploy that smart contract. And I can see in the background in the upper right that everything's happening and working appropriately on my Hardhat blockchain here, right? So I do the deploy, and you don't want to forget the await, and I can grab the balance before and after. Of course, this is going to be charged the gas, so I have a variation of my balances. I have the balance 1, balance 2, and it's being utilizing that account, right? So here I can take my deploy contract and I can do anything. I can do the set. I didn't do an await in this case, so, and that's why I have the pending. So I can do a couple of these, and I can retrieve that using get. So, and let's check the balance to see how that turned out. Let's go to balance 3, and I can check that against balance 2 and my original balance, of course, right? So from 2 to 3, I'm using less and less ETH. And there you go, there you have it. So I have deployed a smart contract after checking balances of an account against Etherscan. I was able to deploy basic hello world. And again, I'm using my created accounts with my 10,000 ETH, unlimited resources to test against the Ethereum blockchain. So this is fantastic, right? To get that experience in the Ethereum environment. I'm going to shut this down and bring it back so I can do the testing with the token balances, and I can use pretty much nearly the same commands and not worry about overwriting the variables. I can just up arrow it and pull in my values. So I'm not going to worry about the accounts. You can play around with the accounts if you like, and you can manually connect the accounts using the command connect variable as well if you're so inclined. But let's just pull in the check. Smart contract by just changing that value, and then I can use the same command for deploy just by up arrowing. And it's not much effort in compared to using Remix. And the beauty of this is I'm looking at the exact commands as they will exist in some type of flash loan application or any type of application I'm running in production blockchain, right? So for that reason, I highly endorse leveraging the Hardhat console for as many activities that you can. And it's always good to know more than one way of doing things, right? So So here I did the deployment. Now I want to stage that command. And how am I going to do that? So let me find, let's go back to Etherscan, and I'm going to go under tokens, right? Let's grab a token. Let's look at Tron. Okay, I can pull up Tron. And I'm going to look at the holders of Tron. I want something interesting here. I have 49, I think it's 49 million. Okay, so I can grab first, I want the token contract. That is my, let me pull in a, means just to stage my function call. Okay. And so that's my token contract. And I am going to put off screen for a second here. And then I'm going to pull the token, the user's address, holder's address. And now I can stage that command. And I believe I called it, I'm going to want to do the await, and I'm going to do check as such. And that should be it. We'll put that in terminal, run it. The other one here. And it's CD, and I think I got everything set up appropriately. So what do I have? I have that check. I want to check the balance of my forked Ethereum using the same token. So the token's going to be, the address is going to be the same for anything within that token that I'm checking against. And then I'm taking a special user address. So let's take a look at that. So I got 4921 and I have 4921. So that is the amount validated from Etherscan. So there you have it. So what were we able to do? Okay, we installed Hardhat and we forked the Ethereum Mainnet. Super cool. And then we started checking the accounts and also token holdings. And in the process, we deployed 2 smart contracts all through the Ethereum console to our local Hardhat. Again, the main advantage, I'm leveraging all my created accounts, and I don't have to worry about scrounging for test ETH, right? Or spending any more Ether in the production environment than I absolutely have to. I'm going to be able to gain a ton of experience by working with this very convenient tool that gives me production environment capability. Hope this helps. I'm going to generate some content using Remix, same type of activities. So you can do that through AWS EC2 and duplicate exactly what I'm doing within minutes. Get up and running, cut, paste, and you can take it to wherever you want to. Okay, but most importantly, get you up and running. So thanks for listening. Take care. Hope this helps. And thank you for listening. Talk to you soon. Bye.